Hi.
How are you?
Oh my God, what a day.
I know. Well, I want to introduce you super fast so we can get to what's happening with your day. So, I'm Jennie Nash. I'm CEO of Author Accelerator, and I'm here with Suzette Mullen, who is a writer and an Author Accelerator book coach. And she's celebrating an amazing thing this very week and just this very day. And we had the chance to jump on this call and capture what's going on. So, let's get to it. So tell me everything. So the big news is you sold a book you've been trying to sell for a really long time.
Yes, I did. I did. I just literally got off another Zoom call with the editors of a university press. I'm a little reluctant. I don't know. Like, can I say the name because I haven't signed the contract? I don't know, but
You don't have to say the name yet. Yeah.
yeah, it's a well-known university press, and I am just so excited. And the I don't think it's really hit me quite yet because there's been so many layers of like approval that but I mean I'm getting once I sign this thing on the dotted line, I won't be holding back.
No, I know.
So
I know,
yeah.
but I just wanted to talk to you to capture. I mean, first of all, I want to congratulate you, obviously, but
Thank
just to
you.
capture the feeling and the emotion and so just can you share with us, do they get it? Like when you spoke to them, did they get it?
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you, Jenny, what one of the I had a call with the assistant editor a little over a week ago after the book passed what they call peer review, which is an additional layer that you have with the university press. And it was the first time actually had a conversation with them. Everything else had been over email. And she said to me, I'm just so excited about your book. And it was like in that moment, something shifted for me because I definitely had been of that mindset, like, oh, I gotta hope somebody is gonna publish my book. It was that sort of pick me idea. And the fact that just hearing that from her was, I mean, it was just so wonderful. And I just said, can you tell me why you're so excited about the book? And she was like, well, I'm really excited because we really want to be publishing more different perspectives on the LGBTQ plus experience, and we're really looking for like a diversity of different perspectives. And the assistant editor happens to be a much younger than me, lesbian, and she was like, it's just really great to like read these stories of older lesbians that are happy. And so but my point being is that it made me realize that it wasn't just this one-sided thing. Like they really want my book, so today when I talked to the editor and the assistant editor, they said, the final the press committee unanimously and enthusiastically approved your book, and we're just so happy to have it on our list. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is really
Yay!
happening. It's really happening.
And when are
Do,
when is the
well, we're looking actually. They're going to they need to check one thing, but it looks like I'm going to be able to eke into 2023, fall 2023, which is super exciting. So they need to just check one thing, but that's what we're operating under, the assumption that it's going to be fall 2023. So I have, I do have a revision to do. I would say it's not, I'd say it's a moderate revision. It's not a, restructuring the book. But it's not like I'm just tweaking a couple of things. So I committed to getting it to them by the end of the year, and I'll just, that's going to be my priority. So I've got my book coach Julie Arts on my team to get me to that deadline. So yeah.
I want to talk about that, because hearing that it needed revisions, like, you've been working on this project, and we should say it's a memoir, and it is a coming out story, would you say?
Yeah, I would say it's if you had to say very succinctly, it's a coming out later in life story. Yes. And that's the container. That's the plot level. That's the plot
Right.
level of the story. Yes, I have been working. I went back to really think, when did I actually start working on this book? Because, as you know, I had written a different memoir, which never, didn't get published, and I may someday go back to that, and with a much different perspective. But this book I started working on in early 2018.
And now September 2022, and
Right.
this is the book that you came to write. I mean, this is one of my favorite book coaching stories ever, where you were working with the coach and you were turning in material, and it was not about this, and they said, this sounds like a love story, right?
Oh, well, that was the first book.
Right.
Yeah. So we could go way back. Yes. So that was the first book I was working on, and that was in 2015, March. I had just started working with an Author Accelerator book coach, and you were involved in that a little bit also. And yes, so it was a book about a book about my professional journey. And I wrote this one scene that had this friend who was very involved in all aspects of my life. And I knew when I was writing it, it was something that it felt dangerous, but I also felt like it was authentic, and I knew I needed to write it. And I said to myself, nobody ever has to see this, but I've got to write it. I've got to, follow the muse. And I very reluctantly sent it to the book coach because it felt so vulnerable. And I knew when I sent it to her that she was going to say, like, it was the most authentic writing I had done. And yes, she identified that this one scene that she wrote a comment that this sounds exactly like someone who's falling in love. And I saw that, and I was like, oh, I won't use expletives on this call, but let's just say certain expletives came to my mind. And I was like, she's right. And that is kind of what set in motion this big change in my life, and the story that I ultimately have written about in this memoir that is now going to get published.
Yay! So there was that journey, and different iterations of the story, and working with Julie Arts to bring it to where it is now. So how does it feel to hear, well, there's more work to do? I mean, because it's a typical experience, but a lot of writers are surprised that there's so many, not gates you have to go through, but I guess it's like that. Hurdles you have to go over.
Yeah. Well, I did anticipate that, and actually kind of hoped that there would be some feedback, and the feedback was from the two peer reviewers, who were pretty amazing. And it was consistent with what the editors had also felt, but they hadn't given me feedback. I frankly, I'm excited about it. I mean, I think at this point, if you had asked me 2 years ago, I might have, because I do remember now, we don't have time to go through all the drafts that this book has gone through, but a little over a year ago, when I queried the book for the first time in 2021, and I didn't get anywhere, that's when I re-engaged Julie Arts, and I said, can you just look at my query? Is there something wrong with my query and whatever? And one thing led to another, and she read my proposal and my opening chapters, and she's like, yeah, I don't think you're starting the book in the right place. And I was just like, oh, how many times have I heard that? And I was very resistant then to do a major revision. I just didn't think I had it in me. And I sat with it for a little while, and then I was like, yeah, I got to do it. So I did a very major revision to the book a year later that I queried was a much different and much better book. So I guess I've been through it now, and this isn't like a huge overhaul, but like, this is my book that's going to be out in the world that people are going to read, and I want it to be the best book it can be. And so I think it's going to be a stronger, tighter book. There were some loose ends that had made their way into this manuscript from the earlier manuscript that probably aren't necessary. So there's some culling to do, some tightening, and a few other areas that there's some nuance that they want me to add some more reflection, and a couple of other areas that don't. Yeah, so I'm actually really excited. I'm excited.
Well, you should be excited. And
yeah,
I'm now recalling another interaction that you and I had around a draft of this book too, where I think I used the word bloodless. It felt bloodless.
Yes, you did. You did.
Right, which is kind of brutal, but you're writing about such a intimate and vulnerable thing that it has to be, I don't know what the opposite of bloodless is, alive and resonant. And
yeah. Well, Jenny, I absolutely remember that interaction, and that really was pivotal, because I came to you and asked, well, a number of things, but one of the things was my manuscript ready to query? And I sent you a query letter and some opening pages. And I will never forget, because now I use this with my clients. Like you said, you could tell from just the query letter itself that I wasn't ready to query, because you said, I don't think you know what your story's about yet. And I mean, when I got that comment, I was like, really? I mean, really? But you were right. I mean, I mean, there's so many layers, right? When it's memoir and it's your own, there's so many layers, and I just wasn't there yet. And it took a couple of more, solid drafts before it was clear.
So in your coaching business, you specialize in helping memoir writers, and particularly a mission to help LGBTQ plus writers tell their stories and raise their voice. And that's a focus that you've landed on with your own book coaching. How does this experience so far help you do that better? Or does it make you see where you've been so long in this trying and waiting and revision and iterating process? Do you feel like it's helping you to help your clients who are in that space?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I very regularly share with my clients, and also with my email list. I've been sharing about my journey to get this book published, and yeah, I think that it absolutely helps me both prepare them to write what I would call a meaningful memoir. It's not something you do in 30 days or in a weekend. I mean, there are so many layers. And so to, kind of prepare people that this is gonna take a while. And then also just to really get clear on your goals for your book, because I think I had my eyes pretty wide open, being a book coach and having been trained, by you, and in the, having an awareness of the marketplace. I knew that it was going to be challenging for me to get a traditional book deal, and I wanted to. It was important for me to give it my best shot, and I mean, I'm very happy where I landed. And I had I had other plans if this didn't work out. And I think that, so I also having personally experienced this, I have a better idea of how to guide writers through that publication path decision. Not everybody is going to have the desire or the luxury maybe to have the process be quite as long as it was for me. And the thing is, I mean, this, having worked with lots of memoir writers, and I mean, 2018 to a 2023 publication date, that's not even all that long for memoir.
No, it's awesome.
I mean,
And what I just love is that you landed in a place, I know we're not talking about the details, but that has a specific desire for this book for specific reasons, and that it's part of their mission and their marketing, and to land in a place where you just experience the personal version of, we want this
yes,
for specific reasons. Like, that's what it's really all about. It's not what that form of that publisher is, or it's
right.
having that someone to believe in you and walk the walk with you forward from here. It's just everything. It's so exciting.
It really is about fit. And I I need to shout out, I'll do it in our Mighty Networks community, but I'll shout out to another author accelerator book coach. Caroline Malloy is the one who told me about this particular press and their focus. And she was telling me really more for my clients when I had decided to focus on LGBTQ plus memoir writers. And so I was like, okay, great. I made a mental note of that. And then when I was querying the second time and including university presses and smaller presses, I added them to my list. And I don't know if you remember this, but I sent them a query letter, with a batch of queries, and at like 11 o'clock one morning, and I went to lunch and I came back and there was a response from them. And I was like, oh my and it was so amazing, because all the the silence and the form rejections, and it was really great.
And here
Yeah.
you are. And how are you feeling since you've decided to focus your business in this particular way? And now here you are going to be publishing a book in that exact space. That must feel like everything's sort of falling into place for you as a writer and a book coach.
It feels really big to me, in a really good way. It feels like, I mean, I know that you don't need to be a published author to be a book coach. There's lots of book coaches who, are excellent and never publish a book. And I think for me and the community I'm going to be working with, the fact that I have walked this long journey, to, get clear on my story, and then the path to get it published is really going to be important, and it's going to be important. I think I'm going to be able to serve those clients better, and I'm hopeful that that's going to be it's going to be a nice calling card for my business as well. That the two, the writer side and the coach side, are really going to be very aligned, and it's really exciting.
It's so exciting. And the fact that it's going to happen so soon. And now you have so much content to share with your list as you go through this journey, right? That's a whole bucket to
Oh yeah.
of things to share. And that's exciting. And I know you're just a huge advocate for book coaching as a person who uses coaches and who is a coach. And it's going to just be, I just love that one person's dream amplifies so many of these other areas. You get to just keep lifting people up, which is why such a win-win thing that we do, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, at the end of my call with the editors today, I said, I reminded them that I was also a book coach, and that I work with LGBTQ plus writers, and I pitched a couple of their stories to them, and and talked about whether they'd be interested in, and they were like, yeah, that sounds great. So I just feel like I'm making some really great connections here, and for myself, obviously, but for my writers, and that feels really exciting.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you, and I'm so excited for your coach Julie and the other folks who've helped you along the way. And we're going to be following your story and celebrating you as you move toward that pub date. And I just wanted to capture this before this moment went away.
Thank
And your
you.
beautiful smile on this great week.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a good week so far, for sure. So thank you
Yay!
so
Well,
much.
enjoy the ride, Suzette, and we will check in with you as we go along.
Thanks so much, Jenny.